Crescent moon behind the smile. The untold final moments of YuMenglong that broke millions. The world knew YuMenglong for his radiant smile, the gentle curve of his lips that could light up a stage, calm a storm, or melt an audience's heart in seconds. To millions, he was not just an actor or a singer, but a symbol of purity and quiet strength, a rare soul who could turn silence into poetry. But behind that smile, hidden deep within the soft glimmer of his eyes, was a storm no one saw coming, a quiet ache that the cameras never captured, a loneliness that fame could never cure. It all began in the days leading up to his final sunset, a stretch of time that now feels sacred to those who loved him. Friends said he seemed peaceful, that he laughed more than usual, that his smile held something both beautiful and heartbreaking. No one realized that the peace they saw was not healing, but acceptance. That week, YuMenglong had been working on a late-night recording session. The studio was dimly lit, candles flickering near the console as his soft voice filled the room. He was recording a song he wrote himself, one he never released, Light of My Heart. The lyrics were tender, whispering of loss, of farewell, of a love too deep to fade. When he finished, the sound engineer noticed his eyes shimmered as though he'd just lived every word. "This one isn't for fame," he said quietly. "It's for memory." The next morning, he visited a park near his home, one he'd been going to since his trainee days. He sat by the pond for hours, sketching birds and writing in his small leather journal. Those who passed by didn't think much of it. It was just YuMenglong, the calm, polite star who always smiled at strangers. But one fan who recognized him later recalled that his smile that day felt heavier, like he was holding something he couldn't share. Behind the charm and grace that made him beloved across Asia, YuMenglong carried the silent pressure of perfection. Every gesture, every expression, every post was expected to be flawless. He was adored but also watched, a constant spotlight that left no space for cracks, no room for vulnerability. He never wanted to disappoint anyone, a close friend once said. Even when he was breaking, he smiled to make sure others felt okay. On the night before his final day, he called his best friend, Wang Yibo. The conversation was soft, almost tender. They talked about old memories, their first projects together, the jokes they shared backstage, the fans who changed their lives. When Yibo asked if everything was fine, YuMenglong laughed lightly and said, "You worry too much. I'm just tired, that's all." But tired meant something deeper. It wasn't just fatigue from work or rehearsals. It was the kind of exhaustion that lives in the soul when you give so much of yourself to the world that you forget what's left for you. That night, he returned home late. The city lights outside his window shimmered, like a galaxy of memories. On his desk were letters from fans, a stack of scripts, and a photograph. A candid shot of him smiling with his team during his first drama shoot. He looked at it for a long time, tracing his younger face with his fingertips. A faint smile appeared, the kind that carries both gratitude and goodbye. He wrote a note, not a farewell, but a reflection. "Thank you for giving me reasons to smile," it began. "If the light fades someday, know that it never left. It just went home." The note was simple, poetic, and filled with love. The following morning, the world woke up to silence, a silence so heavy that it felt unnatural. Social media exploded with confusion, disbelief, and grief. Fans refused to accept what had happened. They replayed his interviews as concerts, his dramas, searching for clues in every gesture. Could it be true? Could the man who brought joy to millions really have carried such pain alone? Within hours, candlelight memorials appeared across cities: Beijing, Shanghai, Seoul, Bangkok. Streets glowed with white flowers, fans holding his photos, their faces streaked with tears. They sang his songs softly, their voices trembling under the weight of disbelief. "He smiled for us," one fan whispered, "so now we'll smile for him." Meanwhile, his colleagues, actors, singers, directors, shared their memories. Xiao Zhan wrote, "He was the calm in our chaos. Every time I doubted myself, he reminded me that kindness is strength." Wang Yiba posted a picture of the two of them from years ago, captioned simply, "You told me to keep shining. I will for you." In the days that followed, tributes flooded the internet. Millions shared his videos, interviews, and behind-the-scenes clips, marveling at how he always looked genuinely happy. But now, each laugh felt like a whisper from another world, each smile a message wrapped in pain. The realization broke hearts across the globe that behind every perfect moment was a man quietly trying to hold himself together. His funeral was quiet, dignified, and filled with emotion. The hall shimmered with white lilies, his favorite. Fans stood outside in endless lines, holding candles that flickered like the stars he once sang about. A soft instrumental of his unreleased song, "Light of My Heart," played in the background. The lyrics echoed through the room. "If I must go before the dawn, let me leave you my light, so you'll never be alone." The world wept. Cameras captured Wang Yiba with tears streaming down his face, unable to speak. Xiao Zhan held his hand, both silent, their grief shared through the trembling of their shoulders. The air felt heavy, as though the heavens themselves mourned with them. And yet, amid the sorrow, there was beauty. Fans began organizing charity events in his name, supporting mental health awareness, and helping young artists who struggled silently like he once did. They said, if he couldn't be saved, then someone else will be because of him. YuMenglong's legacy became more than his films, his music, or his fame. It became a story of compassion, a reminder that behind every smile could be a hidden cry for help. His passing turned into a movement, one that reminded people to check on their loved ones, to listen without judgment, to look beyond the surface. Weeks later, the song he recorded that final night was released by his studio. The world listened in reverent silence. His voice, pure, soft, and haunting, carried through headphones and hearts alike. "Light of My Heart" climbed to the top of every chart, not because of promotion, but because of love. It felt like he was still here, singing from somewhere beyond the stars. The music video that followed was compiled from clips he left behind. Laughter, behind-the-scenes moments, fan interactions, moments of quiet reflection. It ended with a scene of him looking straight at the camera, smiling that unforgettable smile one last time. Across the screen, the words appeared, "Thank you for letting me shine." Fans described watching it as both healing and heartbreaking. Many said it felt like he was saying goodbye properly, not with sadness, but with peace. For days, cities glowed with candlelight vigils. People released white balloons into the night sky, whispering his name as if it would carry to heaven. Time moved on, but the ache remained. Yet, so did his light. His work continued to inspire new artists. His words continued to comfort those who felt alone. Teachers used his story to remind students of the importance of kindness, of empathy. The weeks after YuMenglong's passing felt like the longest silence the entertainment world had ever known. Studios postponed premieres, radio hosts spoke in whispers, and social feeds that once sparkled with his laughter turned into oceans of candle emojis and broken heart symbols. His absence wasn't just noticed, it was felt, like the air itself had grown thinner. Inside the apartment he'd called home, sunlight fell across unfinished pages of his journal. The handwriting slanted gently, steady at first, then faint toward the edges, as if time itself had run out mid-sentence. On one page he had written, "Maybe kindness is just another word for courage." Those words became a kind of prayer to the people who loved him. Wang Yiba visited the apartment a few days after the funeral, his hands trembling as he picked up the guitar that still leaned against the wall. The scent of sandalwood candles lingered in the air, faint but familiar. He strummed a few chords, the same ones Menglong used in "Light of My Heart." The notes quivered incomplete. "You always said a song should never end in silence," Yiba whispered. "So I'll keep playing for you." Downstairs, fans had transformed the courtyard into a garden of light. Thousands of paper lanterns floated on the pond, each marked with a message, "Thank you for your smile." You changed my world. Some lanterns carried tiny origami stars inside, a symbol of the belief that Menglong had simply become one of them, watching from above. When the breeze lifted, the reflections rippled like waves of gold. Among the crowd was a young girl named Li En, who had battled illness for years. YuMenglong had once visited her hospital anonymously, disguised beneath a hoodie and cap. He'd given her a drawing of a phoenix rising from ash, telling her, "No matter how dark it gets, remember, you're still light." Lian now stood by the pond, clutching that same drawing. "He told me to fight," she said softly, tears tracing her cheeks. "So I will. For him." Days turned to months, yet the grief refused to fade. Reporters uncovered details of his final schedule: the long nights, the endless rehearsals, the pressure that came with perfection. Fans didn't turn away from those revelations. They embraced them. They saw his humanity, not his flaw. He wasn't weak, one blogger wrote. He was just tired of pretending he wasn't human. His studio released a behind-the-scenes documentary called Moments of Light. It showed him laughing between takes, feeding stray cats near the set, staying late to comfort nervous co-actors. But in one clip, filmed just weeks before his passing, he paused mid-scene and stared at the sky for a long time. When asked what he was thinking, he smiled faintly and said, "About what comes next?" That line became legendary. Fans printed it on shirts, posters, and banners that read, "About what comes next, keep shining." It wasn't just a slogan, it became a way of living. People began checking on their friends more often, opening up about their struggles, sharing the story of the man who smiled through pain to protect others. Xiao Zhan organized a tribute concert 6 months later. The stage was built to resemble a night sky, thousands of tiny lights suspended above a single empty microphone stand. As the music began, the screens showed images of YuMenglong's journey. His first audition, his first fan meeting, his last performance. The crowd of 50,000 fell utterly silent when the final clip appeared. Menglong turning to the camera, whispering, "Promise me you'll keep shining." The audience lifted their phones high, turning the arena into a galaxy of lights. Yiba stepped forward, voice breaking as he sang the chorus of "Light of My Heart." Midway through, he stopped singing. The crowd carried the melody instead, tens of thousands of voices trembling together. The sound rose, echoing through the night like a heartbeat. After the concert, Yiba and Xiao Zhan drove to the park where Menglong used to sketch. They left a single white rose by the bench and sat in silence. "Do you think he knew how much he was loved?" Xiao Zhan asked. Yiba nodded slowly. He knew. He just didn't know how to stay. In that quiet moment, fireflies began to appear over the water, glowing like tiny fragments of starlight. It felt as if the universe itself had come to listen. Months later, on what would have been his birthday, fans around the world coordinated a project called The Smile Lives On. Murals of YuMenglong appeared in 15 cities, each painted by volunteers. Some showed him laughing under the sun, others with wings of light unfolding behind him. In Beijing, the largest mural stood 5 stories tall. At its base, someone wrote, "Behind every smile is a story, and his will never end." At midnight, social media lit up again. Millions posted the same line from his journal. "If the light fades someday, know that it never left. It just went home." The hashtag trended for days, not out of shock anymore, but love. What no one expected came a year later. A lost recording was discovered in his producer's archives, a soft acoustic track titled Until the Dawn. It was simple, unfinished, with only his voice and guitar. The lyrics spoke of a promise to meet again when the sky opens its arms. When the song was finally released, fans described listening to it as hearing him breathe again. Many said it felt like closure. Others said it was a new beginning. His parents, who had stayed away from the public eye, attended the private unveiling of the track. They stood side by side, holding hands, eyes closed as the melody filled the room. When it ended, his mother whispered he found peace. Today, years after that fateful silence, YuMenglong's legacy continues like an eternal echo. His smile is still printed on posters in art classrooms. His words are quoted in mental health campaigns across Asia. Students paint his portrait for exhibitions about hope. His name has become synonymous with gentleness, reminding everyone that kindness can survive even the harshest darkness. And on quiet nights, when fans play his music, they say the room feels warmer, as if a familiar spirit has returned to sit beside them, still smiling, still shining. Because the truth is, YuMenglong never truly said goodbye. He simply stepped beyond the curtain, leaving behind the melody of his soul. His story, the one that began behind a smile, continues to light the world long after the song has ended.